So I'm also trying to attempt to do some upholstery for my car. I did a little bit of testing out my processes on my 47 Hudson. So I feel fairly confident I can do this one too. I did not spend the money on getting the factory fabric. It was ridiculously expensive. I think $180 a yard is what it was going to cost me. And this car was completely trashed. Give you an idea, the foam on this back seat, for instance, is just completely, I don't know if you can hear that or not, crushed. It's just destroyed. You can see it just snapped right in half. It's just destroyed. So, and the fabric was even worse. The fabric was shredded to almost, you know, obviously not usable. Just brittle and shredded and destroyed. So, I'm also going to try to do some upholstery in this car and maybe walk you guys through how I did that. Now, originally I had bought myself a heavy-duty sewing machine. It's an old Singer from the 20s. This bad boy right here. This is my industrial size sewing machine, and that worked out pretty good for me. I used that on some fabric sewing for my 47. However, my wife's been bugging me since I'm sewing things, and she wants to sew things more. Why don't we just buy a new sewing machine? Because hers is really old, and this one's basically older than my grandparents. So we got a heavy-duty Singer from the local fabric store chain place. This is a Singer heavy duty sewing machine. It's supposed to be able to sew denim, so it should do more than enough to sew what I need to sew. Now there's a ton of videos out there on how to sew upholstery for cars, for couches, for seats, that sort of thing. So I basically went out there and Googled or YouTubed all that stuff and learned how to do it. I've already done some test strips on this heavy duty machine. This is going to do everything I need to do. Now what I did on the 47 is I basically took off the original fabric off the car seats, and I will pull the stitching out of the seams basically. And the seam, when I do that, when I pull the stitching out of these seams, I will have patterns to cut out of new fabric, and it worked out pretty well for me. They ended up looking pretty decent. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. This is the old seat cover, and then maybe we'll do some before and after shots. For padding, you can go to furniture stores and get kind of the factory stuff. You can get this special fabric. You can get some of this batting, all these things. It's still pretty expensive. If I was to buy the original fabric and to go to a furniture store and buy this batting and this foam that would belong in this to begin with, from an upholstery store, it would cost me about the same it would cost me to have a company do this. So the last time I had this quoted out, this is would have been 2019. A upholstery shop not too far from here does custom car upholsteries. For a bench seat like this, it was going to cost me about $800. So let me see, front seat, back seat, all the stuff. You're probably looking at $2,000 to $3,000 to upholster the two seats. Plus, I have door panels I want to do. I have, all the little pieces that kind of trim the floor and around the seats and all that kind of stuff. It all needs to be redone. So instead of spending the $3,000 on that, I thought maybe spending a couple $100 on fabric and replacement stuff. I could just do it myself. And this Singer sewing machine, I think it's usually $350. They had a sale going on at the store I was at, so I got it for $250. So this is a $250 heavy-duty sewing machine, and we'll see how it does. So I have an idea what I have to work with. I'm going to save as much as the seats as I possibly can. This is the front seat. The top leather here, or vinyl, whatever it's called. I'm just going to call it leather. I don't think actually it is leather. Is in good shape, so I'm going to try to save on that. Even though it's rough, I'm still going to try to save on it. I think I can just sew new stuff to it and it'll be fine. Obviously this is all shredded. All the actual fabric is shredded. That's the original striped stuff that was on it. The bottom seat is just as bad, if not worse. Oh, there's my white wires I'm looking for. So I'm going to try to save on this and just sew new fabric to this old. We'll see how that works out or not. This is it's not brittle. I mean, it's still pliable and soft, but I'm afraid it might not work. The back seat pieces, the back of the seats look pretty good. I was pretty happy with them. They're still they're a little stained. They're not great, but I really wanted to keep them as much as possible. I really didn't want to have to strip all these things down, not just the work and the time and the effort, but these are the original. I really would like to keep the original. The back of the seat was fine. The bottom of the seat, terrible. Like, I would not have a problem with my kids probably sitting in this. It's not that brittle. It's not that tore up. So we're going to save on that and hope we can keep all that the way it is. So basically my problem was trying to find something to match the bottom seat. Now, I bought, if you get a real good close-up of what this fabric looks like, it's pretty faded. It had kind of a green, kind of a tan and brown look to it. It's obviously really faded. I got this fabric to kind of come close. I'm not sure how much I'm going to use it. I'm not sure how much I'm going to use it. This stuff right here, I bought this also, I think this was $13 a yard. It's technically vinyl. It looks like leather. It looks really, really close to the stuff that was on the seats to begin with. Let me give it better lighting over here. So that looks really, really close. So I'm going to use that and basically call it good, because it's gonna be a really close match. Now, bottom of the seats and the front and the back was this striped. For you guys that have these cars, you already know this, but for those of you who don't have these cars, this striped fabric was on the bottom of the front and the back seat, and this leather was just on the back, right? And it had the buttons and such like that. So that's the way the cars originally were. And the door cards, here's some of the door cards. This is like the little pull down thing in between the back seats, and this is the door cards. The fabric is, again, pretty faded, pretty worn, but man, I really wanted to save it. I really don't think I can reproduce, these kind of seams, because like this little beading right here is a different kind of fabric than this fabric, and this is the original leather, and the leather actually cleans up and shines up pretty nice. So I'm going to try to save all the door cards. I might even let things like this go. It's just like a little piece of it's kind of shredded and doesn't look great, but maybe I can, the trim pieces on these doors are pretty nice, so maybe I can kind of save on that. So like this is a front door. This is a front door panel. The back door ones are the I'm sorry, let me see here. Some of the windlace is trashed. I probably want to replace all the windlace because it got rusty and it was just gross the edges. I don't want to like switch and swap windlaces. But like this is the bottom of the door cards. These look really, really good. It's kind of why I bought the car, honestly, because I thought the door cards looked really good. So I'm going to save on all of this. And like I said, the new fabric is a really close match. I don't know how good the lighting is in here. You can really see it, but it's close enough where it should look pretty good in the car. So hopefully all the door cards are going to be good. I might just do a little bit of repairs here and there. Then I'll have to do the seat bottoms from scratch. And in order to not mix and match between this original straight fabric and this fabric that I bought, I might make the bottom of the back seat out of this brown vinyl instead. Now that I'm looking at it, because this isn't really close at all. In a side-by-side comparison, it's nice. It'd be like a good accent difference, but it's definitely not the same. So man, I don't know. I'll have to see. I'll start playing with it a little bit and see what I want to do. But this is nice. So I do like the looks of this, but we'll see. So that's my plan. As this video commences, we'll see how much I actually plan to do with it, and then I'll show you guys some of the things I did to kind of get them back to factory. I figure this fabric I bought enough vinyl and fabric to cover everything I need to cover, and I think it was $65. Like I said, it's $13 a yard. I think I only bought 3 yards a piece. So yeah, plus some thread. I got heavy duty thread. This is the heavy duty stuff. Let me see, which size is this? It's the polyester. It's made for boat canvas is what it's made for. So it's pretty heavy duty stuff that will load into the machine. I got brown and white fabric or thread, depending on what I want to do with it. So that's the plan. We'll see how the plan goes. So I did have to do some repairing work on these the springs. Basically, I use the same thing that they used when they built them. So these whole things are just held together. I call them hog rings. I don't really know what they're called specifically. These big rings that you have to pry off a pair of pliers. If you look closely, all this batting and such is held on with these rings. They're held to each other with the hog rings. They have some of these little spacers here. I had to replace a couple of these little black pieces like this that clamp the springs to the frame. They kind of come undone. So basically, I just went through and repaired where I found spots where they, you know, had bent out of place. For instance, I have to fix this still. So, and this is nice because like at least my seats were complete. I know some of you guys are working with seats that are way not complete, but mine are. So look, this is kind of sticking up out of here. That's not right, obviously. So I just go down here and look at this one, and I'm like, oh, I see. It's got like a little black clamp. It's supposed to go on sideways. So I have to bend that down and make sure that's underneath, you know, underneath there. Oh, it's broke. That's why the welding's broke. So I have to probably do something else. I do a lot of these repairs. I've done a couple of these seats like this before. I've done a lot of it with either the hog rings that came off of it, like for instance, let me see if I can find one here. So like this one right here had come off. So this spring was sticking straight out of the seat, way out, and so I just basically just crimped the hog ring back on and crimped them back in place. So don't be too overwhelmed. Like you get these things and they're just like they're uncomfortable looking or they're busted up looking. It doesn't take a lot. Just kind of sit there and just kind of figure out what was supposed to. Like actually, this is an easy fix right here. These should be hog ring together because these are all hog ring together, and this one has come loose. So I got to fix that one. You know, so they're just kind of sprung to each other, and then the end pieces are attached to the frame with a little bit bigger clamp. So luckily the mice didn't get into this too bad, so all this burlap is still here. I think I did find a couple springs filled with, you know, a rat house or here or there, or mouse house here or there. But luckily all this burlap is in good shape for me. Looks like a little piece is probably chewed off right in the middle there, but I mean, I'm going to leave it the way it is, honestly. This is the way they designed it, the way they liked it. I'm going to keep it the same way. My plan is, I've done this before on different seats, and it's pretty cheap. It's probably not the right way to do it. This is how I did it. I just use this 1-inch foam. I kind of cut it to size, and then I use these, it's a cotton scrim. It's like 100% cotton. It's about this. You can cut the size. But basically, I put this over top of the foam, and that helps the fabric not move, right? So I'm going to essentially make a seat cover, like you buy in the store, a seat cover. I'm going to sew it together and move it over top of it, and this is going to kind of keep things from bunching, going to keep things kind of in one spot. And it gives you like a little bit more padding on it. Like it's only probably, I don't know, 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch thick, but it's enough to kind of give you that soft feel to it when you put the fabric on top of it. This is probably the most expensive thing. I want to say this is like $40, but this is a queen size, so this is gonna. That's gonna be more than enough to do both my seats and probably have some leftover for my next project. So, and this foam, I think the foam was $20. I get it in like 6-foot rolls. I think 6-foot rolls was $20 or $30. So again, I'm down about, you know, 100, $120 just for the foaming on this. I was able to keep my frame, fixed it up. I got a couple of spots to do still, obviously. And then when that's all done, attach the foam, attach the scrim, sew the seat cover up, and then just fit the seat cover over. So hopefully the next part of the video is going to be having the seat cover finished, having this foam all done, and you can kind of see how I fit it on. All right, so I took apart the seams, and I was actually wrong. I'm doing the front bottom seat, and it's really only 3 pieces, right? So these 3 pieces will lay flat, and I'll be able to cut patterns out of those 3 pieces. The only thing, there's a little bit of an edging there in the front the front that has some rope sewn in it, so it'll have to be tied. It helps it being tied to the frame. Mine's pretty rotted, so I'll probably just kind of overshoot it and then tied appropriately. And then on the back side, same thing. There were some steel rods that went through these loops that would make it easier to tie to the back of the frame. So I'll probably sew those on after the fact. There's just kind of a trim piece. I'll use some scrap fabric. So yeah. Oh, there's a little bit of a piece here. So I'll probably, when I get there, I'll take this piece out and make that special too. So hopefully when I get done, I'll have 3 pieces just like this, and I'll sew them together appropriately. All right, we have updates. So this is the front seat. I'm not sure how good of a shot I got of this before, but this is the original seat in this car. I am not going to mess with any of this. I mean, the middle pocket has been ripped out, but I'm just trying to save as much as I can of the original for this car, even though it looks a little ratty, a little messed up. But again, I just, it's a hard time tearing apart stuff that's the original stuff. So this looks pretty good, actually. All the leather / vinyl, whatever you want to call it, and this looks pretty good. This has got a little wear and tear on it, but you know what? I don't mind that. The rope's still there. The handles are there. These will polish up nice. Like I said, the middle pocket's been ripped out. But the original fabric's here, and it's in pretty decent shape. I cleaned it up, so it doesn't look terrible. This got a little bit of a stain on it. But I want to give you guys some kind of updates on how these kind of go together. You can buy or download the interior manuals for these, and they're really, really good. The interior manuals are. So the way that the front seat, I'm not done with this yet, so it looks kind of crappy still. I still got to finish putting the fabric on or screwing it down. But and these are all bare metal underneath here. I just sprayed it with some rust reformer because it was rusting, so I wanted to kind of just knock all that stuff down. But you know, the side leather isn't bad. The stitching is a little rough, but I'm going to leave all that. That's probably the worst spot, but that's going to be tucked up underneath by the carpet, so I think I can kind of mitigate that a little bit. What I did here is I left the old stuff. This was completely shredded and gone, so I added new fabric to the old stuff. It actually worked out a lot better than I hoped. I even got some buttons that were pretty close to the original. I'm going to put the buttons back on here. But what I want to show you guys is how these attach. So if you want to get this front seat, the back of the front seat off, you're going to see down here there are tabs. I'm not sure how good the light's going to show you down here. There's a tab. There's 3 screws, basically. 3 screws. I hope that's showing up. There's one, one right there. There's a tab here in the middle. Got some of this right there in the middle. Then there's one over here. And then when you get those screws off, bolts off, this whole seat will lift up off, and you have these hooks right here. Let me have a better look at that. So there's 3 of them. There's 1, 1, 2, 3. I had to trim some of this batting off. I just kind of wanted to show you guys how this is going to look. So those 3 hooks, you take those bottom 3 screws off. These little 3 hooks. There's a little ledge right here. There's a piece of metal that they sit on. You sit them in these hooks, kind of, and then the hooks have a rotation thing that kind of sit back. And when they sit back, you bolt it to the bottom, and that's how that front seat comes out. And the bottom of the front seat, I'm in the middle of doing here. So to give you guys some kind of idea how bad the original stuff was, this is all the original padding. It's all chewed up, all destroyed. I really tried to be able to keep any of this stuff. I just couldn't. It's just so ratty and gross and smells like mouse. So that's all I had to go. And then the bottom of the seat, I'm still working on getting it all fit on here. But you kind of see the process. I have, I basically make seat covers, right? So you do the padding, do the batting, the backing, like I said earlier with this stuff. I forget what it's called anyways. Put that on there. I make a seat cover from the original patterns, and they fit pretty good. I did do a little bit of adjusting, a little bit of changing around. What I'm trying to do now is with these stupid stripes, I did this with my other Hudson, the 47, is getting them to kind of straight. It drives me crazy when they're kind of cockeyed to the seat. So I just work the fabric across till they're kind of straight looking. And then I just kind of put, these had like a white fabric you would sew to the original, that was sewn to the original, and then they kind of hog nosed it onto the frame here with those rings, the hog rings. But what I did is I had some scrap of this other vinyl, this the same color vinyl. I took some scrap of this, put this on here, sewed a loop, and then I have some extra wire. Now what they had in these was like a rope. They'd sew like a rope in this loop, and then they'd hog nose that to the frame. They were trash, and I had some wires laying around, so I just put some wire in here. That works, probably gonna work better than the rope. It's gonna use a nice solid thing to really bring the seat, the seat cover tight, so it looks good, and it'll tie to the frame there. So, and these springs, I didn't spray these ones. Maybe I'll take it back off and spray them. I sprayed them all down with some rust cover paint, spray paint or whatever, to get rid of all this rust, because it's just kind of a thing I don't want to keep deteriorating, right? So actually I need to take the seat cover off and spray paint this one. I know they did the front one, but I forgot to do this one. So anyways, that's where I'm at right now. Hopefully the next shot will be a finished product. So I just realized the bottom seat that I've been showing you guys this whole video is actually the back seat. And this is the fabric from my front seat. I don't know how I got the things backwards. I just went gung-ho and got it screwed up. But anyways, I wanted to show you what I do too, just kind of a little trick. When so this obviously this isn't complete. It's all shredded, it's all tore up, it's all ripped. But you can kind of see at least half of it is intact. Like this is the middle of the seat right here. About right here is the middle of the seat. This side's all trashed and tore up and gone and rotted. But you can still see the general outline of the seat on this side. So what I do is I'll just when I go to trace the fabric, the pattern of the fabric, I just do half of it. I do half of it and then just mirror it for the other side. it should be the same or close enough, because I mean we're still talking about something mechanical that we're covering, right? We're covering the springs in this thing, so it should be symmetrical. It should be the same thing as one side as the other. So just a little trick: if you don't have all the fabric because it's been rotted away or it's disgusting like this one is, just just kind of take it in half and just cut it in half, or use half of it to trace it and just mirror it on the other side, and you got complete. I know it sounds simple, but sometimes those simple things are the ones that elude us. I know that from experience. All right, hopefully this will be done next. All right, updates. It's pretty much finished. There it is. I've got the bottom seat straightened out. Like I said, most of the video I was doing the back seat on accident, and now I got to switch around and do the front seat. So, strangely enough, they're pretty much the same size, so it all worked out. I still need to do a little bit of the tucking up underneath here and just tying it down to the frame, but I want to get it in the car and fit it a little bit first, make sure I didn't miss any spots. And the car is not in a condition to do that with right now. So I thought I'd just finish up this video with pretty much the finished product. Now I think, again, it was so tore up it's hard to tell, but I think there is buttons on the bottom of the seat as well, just from the way the fabric was. I think there's a hole there. I don't like the looks of that, so I'm probably not going to do that. I feel like when I have seats that have buttons in the bottom, I catch them on my pants and rip them and all that kind of stuff. But they did have buttons in the back. It only had one button on the back, so I kind of knew what they're supposed to look like, but I got something that looked good enough. Again, is this professional grade? No. Does it look like the original? Yeah, kind of. But like I said, I did the whole seat, not counting buying the sewing machine, which I'm going to use for many, many other seats after this. I spent, I don't know, $150 on this seat with fabric and foam and batting. Obviously some labor. I would guess labor-wise, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours, maybe. Probably not that much, maybe 6 hours to do all this. And that includes teaching myself how to use this silly thing, which I had to go back to my middle school home ec class and remember how to thread a bobbin and all that kind of stuff. But these sewing machines are really super easy to do these days, and it didn't take long at all to figure out everything out and how to do the different stitching and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, you guys saw the pictures of what it looked like before, how nasty and ratted it was. I think for $150, and get that back to look pretty close to the original. Like I said, I was able to use the original leather on the top, so I was happy to see that. And once that was done, it's pretty close to the original. So there you go, that's the finished product.